Do you think there is an appreciation of the sacrifices made by veterans by the general public?
I think there's appreciation of service, but the fact is veterans largely don't walk around with a banner saying that they served. But there are moments when people feel that through their service they have missed a lot of family time, a lot of opportunities to have shared moments. And when we miss those, you can't get them back. But there isn't enough appreciation from the greater body of the country for people who have done so much, who have given so much. And when you see the lack of recognition in so many different areas, and it's sporadic. It's a bit like a postcode lottery as to what you get from your local authorities as to the greater government. It's sometimes we feel we're only recognised on November the 11th because that's politically expedient for them. But for the rest of us, we feel like we're only important every now and again when we're needed or when we wanted to be needed. The point of having recognition cards and having recognition with these discounts, it's a quiet recognition. It's a quiet way of showing that we are relevant and we are valid and we're valid for our service. It's very hard to make up for the damage that's done to a lot of bodies and minds. But at the end of the day, having some sort of recognition, it does go some way to saying what you did was worth the sacrifice, was worth your time. You can never completely find the validation, but at the end of the day, we have to have something. I think not everybody walks around with a little white badge saying they were a British veteran.
Simon, can you just give us a little bit more insight on what serving in the armed forces, what the impact was for you and on family life, and how long a period you would have been away from home, and what the effect was on you psychologically?
I was very fortunate that I was a very young man when I got injured, so I was just short of my 21st birthday. So largely I was engaged at the time, but being away and being largely single for most of my career, it wasn't such a problem. Because I was still having the wild time being one of the lads and everything else. My time away from people came from being in hospital for so many years, because I spent so many years with reconstructive surgery and infection and all the problems that came with the burns and plastics world where your skin fell off. So that's where my real time away from family and people that I loved came. And I find that when I talk to people who have children, that's the biggest regret, is that they're away from their children. They aren't able to influence their children as much as they would have liked over a long period. And a lot of that gets left largely to the women in the family to bring up the children. And it's almost sort of absent father, but they're not. They want to be there. And I suppose modern technology allows service people to keep up with the family right now, because they're able to do Zoom calls and do the internet thing. So you do get to see them. But there's a thing about, when your child falls down, scrapes their knee, and if they need a cuddle, or as we say in Wales, they need a cwtch, you need to be there. And it's also when they've done well in sport or done well in school, and you want to be able to recognise that and praise them when they need praising and chastise when they need that as well. There's so much to being involved, and veterans sacrifice all that, and they do it willingly, but they do it without sometimes a lot of recognition, and they certainly don't get paid a great deal. The pay scales in the military are woefully inadequate compared to other areas of active service in the civilian protectorate. So being able to be recognised and to be acknowledged and to find your validation in just the recognition of these veterans cards that are out there is absolutely so important, because people find that they're valued, they're relevant, and if you look in life, most people who feel like they're not achieving a great deal is because they've not really discovered their relevance, or they haven't been made relevant by the people who employ them. And this is about the aftermath, really. You know, veterans can, you know, people who serve can get cards, but people who've left, and you see all these men marching on TV right now with their medals and their uniforms, and they're standing so straight and so proud. And you look at the ages of a lot of them, they're proud to have done what they've done. But at the end of the day, we would like to be acknowledged. You know, we're not looking for huge parades and to be clapped and cheered every time we walk into a room.
Would you like that recognition to take, Simon?
It's just a simple acknowledgement from the authorities. You know, people have been promised so much since they closed the hospitals even. You know, we were promised, oh, you will be right at the top of the tree to be treated for whatever ailments you have, because we used to have military hospitals. We no longer have them. So we don't get priority. We don't get looked at with a special eye when you're ill, when you're injured, when you have a problem. And I know these to be a fact. I was in hospital just before Christmas, and I was in a waiting room till 3 o'clock in the morning just to even get a bed, and that was in a toilet. So, you know, there is no real recognition. There's lots of words and rhetoric, but bean counters are just looking to make savings. They look for a peace dividend, and the peace dividend never comes, because unfortunately there's always somebody somewhere in the world who doesn't want to let everybody just get on with their lives in the way that they should be allowed to. And that's why service people exist, is to try to help people who can't help themselves when they meet an aggressor. And we only want acknowledgement for that by the way that we are treated, because we've given our best. Isn't it right that everybody else gets to give us their best? You know, we've not let people down. You know, there'll always be individuals that do, but on the whole, the greater body of people who serve this country, they do their very best and they give absolutely everything. And I think that whatever we can do is
Simon,
correct.